What if I told you the most important stage Bono ever stood on wasn't at a U2 concert? It wasn't in front of 80,000 fans. It wasn't under stadium lights. It was inside quiet meeting rooms, where a single conversation had the power to change millions of lives. Stay until the end, because you'll discover why one of the greatest rock stars in history risked his reputation, challenged world leaders, and walked away from the spotlight more than once, for a mission almost nobody talks about. And once you know the real reason, you may never listen to his music the same way again. For decades, Bono became one of the most recognizable voices on Earth. Sold-out stadiums, legendary albums, Grammy Awards, millions of fans singing every word to the world. He had already won. Everything a musician could dream of was finally his. But while the audience saw success, Bono saw something else. Because every time he left the stage, he couldn't stop thinking about people who would never have a chance to buy a concert ticket. Families trapped in extreme poverty, children dying from preventable diseases, communities forgotten by the rest of the world. And slowly, a question began to follow him everywhere. If fame gives you a voice, what are you supposed to do with it? That question would completely change the purpose of his life. Most celebrities use fame to build a bigger career. Bono used it to knock on doors that most musicians never even approach. Presidents, prime ministers, finance ministers, world leaders. Not asking for awards, not asking for special treatment, but asking them to save lives. Many people laughed. Some critics called him naive. Others told him to stick to music. He could have ignored every criticism. Instead, he kept showing up. Again, and again, and again. Because for Bono, remaining silent would have been the easier choice, but never the right one. Over the years, Bono became one of the loudest voices calling for debt relief, better access to healthcare, and greater support for the world's poorest countries. He helped launch initiatives that encouraged governments to work together against extreme poverty and preventable diseases. He wasn't pretending to be a politician. He wasn't pretending to have every answer. He simply refused to believe that millions of deaths should be accepted as normal. He understood something powerful. Sometimes, one conversation can achieve what 1,000 speeches cannot. Not because one person changes the world alone, but because someone chooses to begin the conversation. And that's exactly what Bono kept doing, even when nobody applauded. It's easy to measure success with album sales. It's harder to measure the child who receives medicine, the family that has hope, the village that gains access to opportunities it never had before. Those moments never appear on music charts, but perhaps they matter far more. Bono once said that music could open people's hearts. He chose to spend the rest of his life making sure those open hearts became open hands, helping, giving, caring. Maybe that's why he was willing to risk criticism, because changing lives was always more important than protecting his image. And perhaps that was his greatest performance, one with no encore, no spotlight, no applause. Years from now, people will still sing U2 songs. They'll remember unforgettable concerts. They'll remember the music. But perhaps Bono's greatest legacy won't be found on a stage. It will be found in every life made better, because someone decided that fame should become responsibility, that success should become service, that influence should become hope. That's why Bono chose people over fame, not because he stopped loving music, but because he realized music had given him something even more valuable than success. It had given him a voice the world was willing to hear, and he decided to use it for those who often had none. If this story inspired you, you're exactly where you belong, here on See Beyond the Spotlight. Every week, we uncover the hidden human side of the world's most inspiring people. Who should we discover next? Tell us in the comments. Your suggestion could become our next documentary. Every legend has a story. We uncover the one the world rarely sees.